Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We sure are.
And we're super excited. We are welcoming back Judy Wilkins-Smith with us. She's a world-renowned family pattern systemic work and constellation expert, author, motivational speaker, and founder of System Dynamics for Individuals and Organizations. So welcome back, Judy. We're excited to have you with us again.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back with you.
So we thought today we had a little discussion pre this recording, so we thought we would talk about aha moments and just what they signify for us and how do we know that they're aha moments, I guess would be my first question to you.
So the way that you know that it's an aha moment typically is when you get that little sort of fluttery feeling or a sudden bang to the body. It's usually visceral and it's usually head, heart, and gut. So you've got that perfect alignment where the head's not arguing, the heart is open and the gut is in sync. And it then turns into your inner compass, which is what it was designed to be. And the aha moment is typically a pivot moment when you suddenly realize that, wait a minute, what I thought was a limit isn't a limit. And oh my goodness, things like it wasn't my fault. Oh my goodness, I can do this, or any of those that suddenly cause that opening. It's almost like, and this is going to be a very odd comparison, but if you had a drain clogged with fat and you poured boiling water down it, and suddenly that all kind of melts away and you've got that clear channel through. That's a little bit what an aha moment is like. If it's a profound aha moment, you will often see people rewiring in the moment. You can actually see the thoughts and the feelings changing. You can watch the body start to shift. And people who've had those will come back to me and say, I can't think the same way. I don't feel the same way. And my actions are different. What's happened is you've rewired in the moment, and it can happen very quickly. Sometimes we have what I would call an open and closed aha moment. So an open one where everything comes through and you go, oh my goodness. And then it's almost as though it's too much, or it's too much at the moment and I've got to be safe, and we retreat slightly. So it'll be an open and closed one. But aha moments are really worth paying attention to because it's when your brain is telling your body a story that your body can believe. And when that happens, you're rewriting what was. You're moving through limits and limitations.
And I think that a lot of us have felt that aha moment. I know I've had some, and I'm certain, Mom, you've probably had some, and I'm certain you have as well. So
Certainly.
is there a way though that we can, I don't know if force is the right word, but is there a way that we can kind of guide ourselves into some of the aha moments to help shift ourselves forward?
You mean to get there, or you mean to move through them?
To both, to get
Okay.
to them and then to move through them, especially when we close that door. And I think we often, like you said, through fear, do that is like, oh, here's this. Oh, no, I'm not ready, or I'm
Yeah,
too
not that
scared,
can of
or
worms. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so one of the ways to guide yourself to it is to take a subject, any subject, but something that's kind of pinging you and you feel stuck or antsy or unhappy, or you're not at ease with it. And write down everything that you think, everything that you feel, everything that you do or say around that. And then ask yourself, when did that start for me? What was happening in my life at the time, and what have I made it mean about me, and what have I made it mean about others? That will often give you that first, whoa. And then, is there anyone else in the family who is like this, which will often give another one? And then the next piece is, so how would I like it to be? If I don't love this, how would I like it to be? And again, it's all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the actions. And suddenly what you sit between is the ancestral inheritance and the chapter that only you can write. And when you recognize that you're the change agent, you're the one who's going to make it happen, that as well is an aha. And again, it's will I dance with it or will I stop? Is it too much? If it's too much, the invitation is go back one step and ask yourself, what do I need to do right now that keeps me safe and in my body? Okay, now that I've got that, how do I take a step back towards that? And what is it that I'm afraid of? Am I afraid I will get too big? Am I afraid that I will be disloyal to something in my system? Am I afraid that I'm an imposter and I'm not big enough? Those are all questions to ask yourself, and then to say, deep breath, if I've got this far, I'm this far for a reason. So, how do I take just one little step? And I will give you a nice example of that. There's a thing called an interrupted bond in this work, in systemic work and constellations. It's very slow work, but what happens is there's a bond that breaks between the child and the parent. And when that happens, it's often a child reaches out and the parent isn't there, and they go, "Where are you?" And then they reach out again and they're very angry, and it's like, "Where are you?" And the third time they reach out and the parent isn't there, they go, "You see, whenever I need someone for me, there's nobody there," and they give up. And so I had somebody who I was working with, and she said, "I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this." And we got to where I bring them across the floor very slowly. We got to about halfway through, and she went, "I can't do anymore." And I said, "Okay." Then we stop. And she said, "You see, I told you I'm useless." And I said to her, "Stop. Have you ever got this far before?" "No." "So this is the first time you've managed to work it through to here?" "Yes." So how have you failed? You haven't failed. You've taken steps for this to be your new beginning point. And I think that's something that's important for all of us. If you have an aha and you've got to step back, you've already shown yourself what's there. Now it's just a matter of very slowly inching towards it, maybe sideways, maybe backwards, until you can back into it or step into it and go, "I can breathe and I can be here."
Wow.
And that
So
makes sense. Sorry, Mom, go ahead.
no, it's accepting, it's finally accepting yourself is what you're saying.
Absolutely. It's also making sure that your brain isn't doing trash talk, because we do that very quickly to protect ourselves. "I can't do this. I'm too stupid. I'm not worthy. I'm a. And what you want to do is switch to transformation talk very quickly. I can. I'm able to figure this out. It's okay for me to be here. I know what to do if I take one step. I'm going to take care of myself. All of those will keep you in that kind of range instead of backing you all the way out.
Yeah, I can see that. And, I think that we're so hard on ourselves as humans that when we do make those little steps forward, we self-criticize ourselves and like, yeah, I can't go further. We put those beliefs on ourselves that we can't move any faster or forward. And I know that I have one of mine is definitely the imposter syndrome. And it's so funny because you hear people and people say, "Oh my gosh, what you do is wonderful," and blah, blah, blah. And inside I'm like, okay, I think, but I'm faking it. And so,
We're
I'm going
not.
to fake it till I make it. And hopefully one,
So a couple of things around that. You can change fake it till you make it to believe it till you achieve it. So that's number one.
I like that.
Very important is imposter syndrome isn't a reality. It's pioneer syndrome. You may not have the answers, but you're willing to go and find them. So you're moving beyond what's known. So don't do that to yourself. When you start to get those self-doubts, go, "Okay, this is good. So I'm stepping into unknown territory right here. This is interesting. How do I keep myself interested and not punishing myself?" Bear in mind that in most religions, we grow up with the idea that we were born into sin, we're sinners, and it's never going to get much better. We're going to die, and we should try to do it nicely so we can get seat L34 at the top, which is
Yeah.
a whole bunch of junk. So just gently, gently, you're not an imposter, you're a pioneer. But we were taught the other, and so it's the great sleep, and you're really waking up and waking other people up from that too.
Yes, I agree with that. So is there things that you can do to motivate yourself to start thinking better and to start thinking healthier thoughts to help you open some of these doors for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorites, in fact, it's probably one of the biggest, is you've got to understand what a dream is for you or what your wants are for you. They're very, very important creatures because those wants are the substance of the chapter that only you can write. In other words, it's not your inherited DNA, emotional DNA. This is your stuff to mold. And you've got to be excited about it. You don't just say, well, that sounds good. I'll take a bite of that. It's got to really excite you. Because if it really excites you, you're going to pull yourself all the way through to that. If you've got an adventure that really motivates you, I want to go to Europe, I want to go to Disney, I want to be a millionaire, and you really are motivated and you're completely committed to it, that will pull you all the way past the excuses and the old DNA, and it'll keep you very firmly anchored in what's possible and where you're heading. So biggest, most important thing, be excited by whatever it is you're going after. Don't do it out of duty. If you're doing that, it's somebody else's dream.
Ah,
That does make sense. Makes
No
a
dutiful daughters.
lot. No, and I mean that does make sense because there's a lot of things that you do in life and you know that you're kind of just going through the flow of it because it's either what's expected of you or, you know, you feel stuck or you're just kind of because I think a big question like when you say your dreams and wants, and I think that's a lot of people question that, what do I really, really want? And I think that's hard question to answer. I don't know. What do you
Well,
think?
yes and no, because if you start listening to yourself, you really do know what you want. It may be a crazy idea to anybody else, but you know what you want. I want to be the best crocheter in the world. I want to be the best puzzle maker. And we think, why do you want to be a best puzzle maker? Who does that? Only to find out that it's part of a bigger picture. You're the one who can solve crises in the world because you're used to building puzzles. So you know how to take pieces. So we're getting clues all the time. I think what I notice most for humanity is when we're born, nobody shows us the sign that says life is an adventure, go find it.
yeah.
Instead, they say, okay, don't be greedy, don't want too much, be kind, be good, be nice, be poor, be sad, be yeah, no, life is an adventure, and wherever it is out there, whether it's God, the guides, the universe, whatever we believe, is probably sitting up there going, oh no, they're going to snooze all the way through this one too. This is not good.
Knock, knock. Are you listening?
Exactly. Hello, is anybody awake down there?
No, no more time for snoozing.
Yeah, we've got the Z button on. It's like, come on, people.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think too, because time goes by so quickly that we don't really like we don't notice how quick. Like we do because we're like, oh wow, it was just, just Christmas, or it was just this, or, I
Right.
was just this age. But then when you were reflecting, and I was doing this a little bit the other day because I was looking back on old pictures. And so then it was interesting because I was really looking at these pictures and thinking about how I thought at that point in my life. And now I'm looking at these pictures thinking, why would I think that? That was such an insane thought. And how did this time just slip through my hands, literally, or if we're not doing anything in our day, which I mean, we need to rest as well. But I think there's so much time that we spend idle doing things that are not constructive to our future growth that
Right.
I think we're letting this time slip out of our hands and just not even being aware of it.
I think we need to rest a little less. My daughter still carries around when they were kids, she still says, and she lives by it. I would say to them, and I still will, you are tired when your head hits the bed.
That's
Before
true.
then, you are not tired. You have a lot of stuff to do today. And she says, it's all your fault. I get it. I get there to go and sit down and just watch something. I'm like, nope, you should be doing this and this. Now, no, that's not what I'm saying because we all need fun time, playtime, and downtime. But if you find yourself really sitting a lot, sleeping a lot, um, just doing nothing a lot, you really want to pay attention because you're not switched on and you want to switch on. If you're sleeping a lot, ask yourself what you're avoiding. Uh, of course, some people are not going to be well and they need to sleep a lot. But I'm talking about, oh, you know what? That sounds difficult. I think I'll go and sleep. Don't do that. Really stop and look instead. What is it that's so painful that you don't want to look or it's too scary? But and then I'm listening to you talking about your photos and thinking, yeah, it's not that we're just hard on ourselves. We really are taught that we're not good enough. And so you would have looked at those and had a thought and thought, it's all my fault. Really? Where'd that come from? How about it's all because of me or all thanks to me? Much healthier thought.
Yes, I agree. Much healthier. We have to learn how to be more healthy speaking to ourselves anyway, and happier in the way that we talk to ourselves. Because you find in the day when something happens that leads you down that path, you go, no, 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 not thinking that way anymore today. Gotta change that around. But it's hard to keep yourself focused that way because of all the things that come on your path during the day. So
And the meaning you make of them, right? Because there are all these things just kind of drifting in, but we make them mean the most amazing things. I sit with clients sometimes, I go, that was a bit of a swing shift. How did you get from there to there? And then you hear, well, my mother said, my father said, my uncle said, and I'm like, darn, you held on to that one for a long time.
Yeah, I think
sometimes we do.
well,
Sometimes we
yeah,
do. It's not good.
exactly. And we take things too personally, right?
Oh,
Because
dear Lord, if we
sometimes
would just stop
there's
that.
things that's just said out there that are just, they're just a statement. They don't really mean anything until we make them mean something to ourselves.
Exactly. I tell my clients 99% of the time, it's not about you, but we think it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or we have 99% of the world who thinks we're amazing, and 1% goes, well, I don't like you. And where do we fixate?
that
Boom,
1%.
on the 1%. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Well, it was funny. I'm crocheting and that isn't my expertise, and that's okay because that's not why I do it. I don't do it to be make these beautiful, wonderful things that people that do that, and I just do it to pass the time. And it makes me think, and then my hands are busy and it's a good thing. So my granddaughter said to me, she goes, "How asymmetrical is that? Like, is it really out of whack like the last one you made?" I said, "Probably." I said, "But you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet all you grandkids a crooked blanket, and then you will have that to remember me for the rest of your life." So I switched it, right? Because I'm just like, and in the past, I'm not going to lie, I would have took that personally. I'd be like, "Why are you saying I'm not, why am I?" But I know I'm not. So it doesn't matter to me because that's not what I do it for.
So I love what you said there because I'll tell you where my mind went was, oh, goody, if it's a crooked one, you could always do an edge that makes it straight and then fill that in with all sorts of interesting things. So it would just be a really different blanket. Yeah,
Yeah.
Or maybe gives them something to think about later if they want to straighten it out and make it into something that they'd like to have too. So
does
there's that
everything
as
have
well.
to be straight? Hey,
Yep.
that's a good title for a book. Does everything have to be straight?
I like that. Well, it was the same when the kids were little. I'd color with them in the coloring books, and then, you'd be coloring and you'd make, the pig or orange or purple, and they're like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Why not? Who says? Who says we can't? Color it whatever color you want." I mean, yes,
Exactly.
there's sometimes that we need to follow those rules and things, but there's so much of it that why do we box ourselves in so tightly into these things and not allow ourselves to be creative with it?
Yeah, and I think with that, that's also a very good bring back to an aha moment. If you keep thinking about how things have to be, you're not open to the way they really are, and you may miss the magic.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Like I
Yeah.
always said to the kids, like, if you look into the tree, you're going to see some fairies in there. And they go, where would they be? It just keep looking, you know, allow your mind to just travel a little bit. You're going to see all kinds of things. They're right there. You know, when the kids were little, I used to say to them, let's go look at the clouds. Let's lay in the grass and look at the clouds. And then we talk about what they saw. And it was just to get their imaginations working so that, you know, and then next thing you know, the kids were going, oh, I see this and I see that.
I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think we miss half of what's really out there precisely because we're trying to do color in the lines.
Yes.
We need to quit coloring in the lines.
Yep.
I
Being
agree.
perfect.
And the more you do that, the more you're open to these opportunities that are going to present themselves to you, where somebody says to you, hey, well, here's an idea for your crooked blankets, or here's, whatever it is. And maybe you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And it's a sticking thing. Or maybe you're like, yeah, no, that's not for me, right? And I think our bodies tell us, like you said, they tell us, they're like, oh, yeah, let's go down that path and see where it goes.
I agree. And the other thing, of course, is when you allow yourself to really just be there, you get to, in an aha moment, you often get to the emotion called awe. And I was listening to somebody the other day. It's actually a very distinctive emotion. It's one that hasn't been identified until recently, but it's the one that is the healthiest for us. It keeps us open and it hits our hearts and it makes us sing a little bit. So an aha moment and awe is a lovely place to be. Now I'll have people who say, well, yes, that sounds all nice, but it's airy fairy. Okay. So who told you that airy fairy was wrong too? Maybe sometimes airy fairy is exactly what you need.
True.
Yeah, that is very true. So how does a person then, as they're going through, like you said, you're taking little steps towards getting through these and breaking those beliefs that you've had, rather they're, ancestral or through your lineage or your own crap that you've made up along your way of stories you've told
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
So if you keep making these little steps, are you going to get to the other side for sure? Or is there going to be blocks along the way that you're going to encounter?
That depends on you. Will you create blocks along the way? Because you can absolutely get there. And yes, there are likely to be bumps and blocks, but if you're really determined, and that's something that's extremely important when you're going after your want, you've got to be committed and you've got to be determined. Because it's just like life. Life is going to throw you a couple of curveballs and you're going to stop. If you stop, no, you won't get there. But if you are really clear and committed, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there. And in fact, interestingly enough, just to answer that in a multi-generational way, somebody came in and they said to me, what did they say? I, I can't marry the woman I love. No, I'm married to the woman I love, but I can't have her, and I feel like a slave. And when we went back to where that had come from, his great-great-grandfather was a slave, and was not allowed to have the woman that he loved. His great-grandfather was a slave, was not allowed to have the woman he wanted. His grandfather was broke. They liberated them, but he found himself in prison and lost the woman that he loved. And his
Mm.
father did the same thing. And I said to him, do you see that pattern all the way through? Why are you a slave? He said, I'm a slave to these landmen, which of course here is very funny because he's giving the landmen benefits for their oil and the mineral rights. And so what we wound up with was, I can be of service to you free and clear. And then he could look at his wife and say, I can look at the woman I love and have her. So it's so interesting how those barriers were constructed to keep him in unconscious loyalty to what came before him. But what he really wanted was to be free and love the woman that he loved. And so once you start to notice what it is and it's unclouded and you really head in that direction and you can feel your heart singing and you know this is right and it's really exciting to you, you will get there. It may have taken those generations for you to get there, but you'll get there.
That's amazing, and I look like my mom was a very strong, independent woman and a single parent, and raised us pretty much believing that we could do anything that we wanted to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mom.
right? I mean, she did have some hurdles that we also seen, my brother and I, so I'm pretty sure we adopted those into our own lives in certain ways. But it's really funny because it kind of has gone down generational. You're exactly right. To like my kids, where my one son more so believes that he can, the other one's getting there, but same thing. It's like a generational thing
Yep.
that I believe I can, but I'm going to put these blocks in my way.
Oh, yeah. Yes, because then it keeps me in the family system and I belong. And so
Yeah.
what we've got to realize is we don't have to be small to belong. Sometimes we can expand the system so more can belong. And I think that's an important one. And if you have one who believes they can be anything and the other one who doesn't, I would wonder, is the one who doesn't loyal to his father?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a good question.
That is
Yeah.
a good question.
Because
Because
the one that believes he can do anything, he's the one that you have to pull back every now and then because he's always got something else in his mind that he's expanding and he's doing something and sometimes you think, oh, we got to pull him back because we haven't heard from him for a while, but he just is an unstable person, full of energy, and he wants to. I guess it looks like, from what I can see from him, anyways, he wants to taste all the different things in this life to know that he's at least tried. You know,
Good for him because he's the kind of person, but you want to get him to be able to choose one
right?
because he's clearly got the ability to do multiple, but which one really pulls at his heart and says to him, you know what, if I could do that, or if I do that, it's going to be so good. I
yeah,
can't wait to do that. It's like saying I want to go to San Diego, whatever. I really always wanted to go there. I'm going there. I can't wait. I can just about feel it. And you want to get him to really feed that. Because if he can do it once, it builds the winner effect. Once he's achieved something, he'll do it again and again and again. So it's really important to build that.
yeah. I agree with that. And I often say that to my granddaughter because she's just done school and she's kind of in that in between and I don't really know what I want to do. And I'm like, well, no choice is a choice, but it's not a good choice. So you need to decide, right? And she's like, well, I don't know what I can do. I'm like, anything you want to.
Okay, so
I
uh,
can't
uh,
be a doctor. I said, well, if you wanted it bad enough, you could, right? You'd go
oh,
further.
absolutely.
Obviously that isn't what you want, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what fills your heart up and your soul up? I'm like, follow that passion because money's great. We need it to get through, but
The passion's better.
I was going to say, do you want to see
and
me sit up very straight and say to you, be careful of money. Money is awesome and it gets a very bad rap. It is a lovely thing. We just don't always know how, and we spoke about this. We don't know how to work with it and we don't know how to love it.
yeah,
And love of money is not the root of all evil. Lust, maybe. Love, no,
no,
no. It's beautiful.
it is.
So, yeah, money is not everything, but money is a pretty good friend.
It is.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want her to base like don't base everything on what that final income is, right? Like you want to go do something, I would think, that lights your life up too. You don't want, because she's just looking at the dollar figure at the end and not the will I really love and enjoy this job.
You know what? If she's looking at the dollar figure, I would follow her down that path and say to her, why is that important to you? Because there's a reason it's important to her. She may say to you, I really want X amount of money a year because then it means I can do Y. Or if I've done this and I've got this all taken care of, I'm safe. I can go and do X. I would follow that through and ask her why is that important. It's not wrong. There's a really good reason for her wanting that.
Yeah, yeah. And anything she's ever said about it is right. Then I can take care of my kids. I can help you and grandpa if I needed to. I can have a good life. I don't have to struggle. So I'm certain that that
I
is,
like her.
yeah. Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah, she's
She's
good.
good. Tell her I say go for the money and make sure your heart's there too. But if that's the way she's thinking, she's already telling you why that's important to her. She's seen struggle. She doesn't want to struggle. She also wants to make sure that her loved ones are taken care of because otherwise she would still struggle because she wouldn't be able to take it with an open heart. So if she's crafting her way there with that kind of thinking, I say go for it.
All right. Well, I'll try that. I'll try that system with her, see where we make it out to.
You tell her I say I think she's awesome.
Wonderful. I will tell her that for sure. But I think it's so important that we learn these things because it helps us all, right? To find these things that we want to do and to let go of these beliefs that we've had about whether it's money or fame or whatever it is, right? I mean, it's all within our grasp if we want to have it.
Yeah, and it's not that it helps us, it's that that's your destiny. And people keep missing it. What really pulls at you is your destiny. It's your trajectory. It's doing it for a reason, and it's doing it to stop a limiting pattern here and keep the flow going over here or start flow again. So where did flow stop, and how is what you're doing going to achieve that for you? Because you'll see people get very heavy about certain things. Well, I don't want to struggle. Who struggled? Mom struggled, grandma struggled. So you're saying for the women who really struggled, I want to do it differently. Yes, I want to do it differently. Okay, go do it because you don't want to repeat that. No, I don't want to repeat that. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got the push from behind and the pull to what's possible.
Yeah. That makes 100% sense to me. Darn. No, I mean it's great because then I think this helps. Like for me, listening to you, that helps me to be able to have a conversation with her going forward to maybe helpfully help her try to make her decision a little bit easier.
Right. And some of us we get to do things in odd ways or interesting ways, or it comes from very young. My daughter is my adopted daughter. She lost her mom the day after her fourth birthday.
Oh,
And she knew from then on she was going to be a doctor. That was it. And it's a very interesting thing because she said to me she wanted to be a doctor so that no other child would ever have to lose a mother like she did.
Oh,
But
uh,
here's where it gets super interesting. So about 2 years ago, I think I had a gallbladder situation, and they said to me, "It's not that you've got gallstones; you've got a growth in the gallbladder." And there's a whole very interesting story about that. But long story short, I had my gallbladder removed. And the doctor said to me, had you waited a couple of months, we would have had a very different story. So we're sitting on the end of the bed, and my daughter's talking to me, and suddenly she burst into tears. And I said to her, what's going on? I'm fine. She said, yes, Mom, but I suddenly realized which daughter I was saving from losing a mother. It was me. I couldn't do it twice.
oh,
uh,
oh, that's so
uh,
nice.
Yeah,
that's
so very
beautiful.
full kind of circle moment, very full circle. And so there are things that really push us to do things and it's important to listen to those and to have those ahas of, hey, I'm here. This is why I did this. That was a big aha for her. Oh my goodness. I know why I did that. It wasn't just about mommy Sharon dying. It was about, I don't want to have that again. So interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think you can just go so many different ways with this stuff is like I find it just very intriguing and know mom does as well. It's just because anything that does with the mind and that kind of stuff, both of us are like, ah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's like there's just so much to learn, right? And it just kind of lights me up when I hear it because it just gives me hope, I guess, for humanity. So I think that's a
And that the hope for humanity begins with you because when your mind opens, everybody it begins for everybody else. And I think that's important to remember. What you're
Yeah.
doing is important when you're opening minds and hearts and guts. You're actually saying to people, okay, you've hit the snooze button long enough, time to wake up. There's this great thing out there called your life. Go do it.
Yeah. And don't walk, run.
Exactly. Run, run, run. Hit the fast button, load it up, enjoy every second of it.
Yes. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So what is new for you coming up?
New for me coming up. Actually, there are a couple of things. Number one is I now know what I'll be teaching at Disney World in October. So it'll
Wow.
be, I think it's October the 9th through the 12th. And it's going to be, now I've got to think of that. Oh, yes. I'm like, don't do that. Breakthrough DNA. In other words, how do we get you past where you're stuck? And we know that you're stuck at stages, but what is the DNA that takes you the rest of the way, exactly like you said, all the way to where you want to be? So what does your breakthrough DNA look like and where will that take you? So there's that. And then yes, working title for the book already copyrighted in case anybody else hears it, it's already copyrighted, is why you will or won't, can or can't have money and how to change that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all about how we block ourselves, stop ourselves, refuse ourselves, and what are the money myths? How do we keep ourselves stuck? How do we get out from underneath that? And does it really make a difference? Yes, it does, because unless you know what your money DNA is and how to see it, and unless you know what your money wants are, you're going to stay stuck.
I believe that.
So
Work.
yeah, I'm looking forward to writing that. I'm very tickled to be writing this book, and I've had all the prompts from the universe you could get. Um, I finalized the title, and then I got an email from someone yesterday to say, "Do you by any chance have anything you've written specifically about money?" And I just started laughing. It was like, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. I got your message. Thank you.
Yes, exactly that. Oh, and in fact, I got three messages, one after the other. I was like, okay, already. We got this.
I know I'm listening. Sometimes I
Sometimes
have
I'm
to say
deaf.
that.
Often I'm deaf. This one was good. Could we have more of those kinds of messages? I don't know about you, but I always feel like, could the universe quit just giving me cryptic crossword clues? Just
Yes.
write down the instructions, tell me what I need to know, and let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I often say that when I'm in my morning meditation, it's like, could you just like give me some signs, but like ones that I understand or in
Exactly.
neon, I don't know, flashing at me, something because I'm not getting these subtle cryptic messages that you're
Oh,
sending.
dear Lord, with a subtle cryptic. I don't know who the architect is, but really with a subtle cryptic.
Hmm. Well, it's always such a pleasure talking to you. Do you have a final thought for all of our listeners?
Yes, I would say final thought would be the aha moments are all over the place. They're just waiting for you to see them.
I love that. And can you tell everybody where to find you?
Yes, Judy Wilkins-Smith.com. And then Instagram, LinkedIn, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, let me think, LinkedIn, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you could think of, I'm there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge with us and our listeners. It's been a pleasure as always, and we hope you'll come back again and tell us more of the things that you know to teach us and help us break through these, places in our lives where we need help doing that. So
I will come back anytime you invite me so that we can have an adventure together. You ladies are fun.
Thank you,
wonderful.
Claudia.
Well, thank you so much for being with us and everybody else. We hope you tune in next time.
We bet you do.